Woo! Hey everybody, Jim Sammons here, and welcome to the Kayak Fishing Show live. As always, brought to you by all these great sponsors, bouncing along the bottom there, including Ballast Point Brewing Company, of which I'm not having one. I'm having water. I got to lose some weight. Just straight up honest, I got to lose some weight. So day drinking, it's only 2 o'clock here, so. But great news. We're super excited. Ray Marine, I actually just found out Ray Marine who has been such a great sponsor for us, just re-signed on for another couple of years. So still going to be brought to you by that. Very excited about NRS. Actually just got a package from NRS today. May as well show this to you. Really stoked on these. Their new paddling pants. This is the Free Fall dry pant. And it has a really high kind of gaiter there, so you can tie that in with your jacket, and so you be very, very dry. And they have what I really like, as opposed to your conventional waders that have neoprene booties. These have a waterproof sock, so you can wear a normal size shoe when you're on the water. So very, very cool stuff. And also, the sent me the inflatable. The Star Rival. I've got it here on my phone, and that just arrived. It's still in the box. I haven't had a chance to look at it because it arrived about half an hour ago. But I'll be doing a full walkthrough on that. I'm really excited about that. Having a inflatable that I can keep in my Sprinter, so I don't always have to tow my trailer around if I want to just do a little road trip or something. It's going to be really cool. Also, it can be a piece of luggage. So if I want to go someplace super remote, where getting a kayak there is a little more difficult, this thing's going to be really cool. But again, I'll give you more of a rundown on that once I open it up and do all that fun stuff. One other thing before we get to the episode, and anybody is new to this, of course, we thank you for joining us. We are here every Tuesday and Thursday airing older episodes of the show. On Thursdays are the really old episodes when we were sponsored by Ocean Kayak. And today we'll be airing the episode part 2 of our trip to Panama with Pesca Panama with my buddy Craig Miller right there. Actually, if you can see it, pulling on a nice tuna and that crystal clear water out at Hannibal Bank. But we'll be getting to that in a few minutes. One of the other things going on today, let me get this banner off the bottom and throw this one up there. RoachCoachBait.com. This is actually a friend of mine's company. I'm going to do a giveaway, but it's pretty much going to have to be somebody here in San Diego, Southern California. Maybe we can meet up and I can give you a couple of these. So if you are a hoop netter, let's see some thumbs up. Let's see some comments about hoop netting. This is the Roach Coach. And my buddy Ricky sent me a few of these for myself to try out and then to give away a couple. So you can try them out. Cool thing about this, you can see the tabs in there. You can secure that down into the bottom of your hoop net. You can weight this thing and use it as a chum dispenser for fishing. If you were just to throw it in the water and had some bait, it's going to float. So unlike your normal bait cage, it's not going to sink away on you. Another really interesting thing is depending on the direction you put this in, I think you can see there, those holes go all the way through. So that would be your full flow. If you turn it around, see if that shows, you can see those are then halfway. And so that's your half flow. So if you don't want quite as much, but if you got really finer baits and that sort of thing. One thing that Ricky says he does, and you can see that just thing, it kind of compresses here and you just pull it apart. One thing Ricky was telling me he does is he will actually chop up the bait, put a plastic bag in here, push that down in there, and then toss this in the freezer. Once that's frozen, pull it out, and do it again. And then he'll just supply that. And then when he's out there, he just puts it in there, pulls the plastic bag off. And so he's got a perfectly sized chunk of chum in there, or bait for the hoop net. So like I said, I'm going to give away a couple of these, but you're going to need to comment, questions, anything like that. And then again, there's Roach Coach bait. And I'm going to be honest with you, there's nothing on that website other than contact information. So, but it is a friend of mine locally, just trying to get started with a pretty cool little business. I know it's getting kind of the end of hoop netting season, but still. I see there is a couple of comments here. Before we get to that, let us know if you're watching on Facebook or if you're watching on the Facebook group page. And these are the different ways you can watch it, as well as our YouTube channel, Kayak Fishing Tales. And I mention this quite often. If you subscribe to Kayak Fishing Tales, you're much more likely to be notified when we go live. Facebook isn't that great about it. So anyway, we've got a couple of people saying hello. Brian Mack, how you doing, man? Liam, always joining us from Kayak Fishing Tales. Thank you so much. Eric, how you doing, man? Sean Russell, a regular. I appreciate you being here. Hope you guys aren't, and our friends in Texas. You know, I posted something yesterday. I'm kind of getting all over the place here, but I posted something yesterday about a group of people, an organization that was doing a lot to help with the turtle situation down in Texas with the freeze they've had, you know, to help those animals. So there's some links there if you want to help donate to that. That'd be really cool. You know, the sea turtles are kind of my thing. So again, if you can help them out, that would be awesome. Like I said, I posted it yesterday, I think. But the best of luck to all our friends in all the places that are so cold. Ash, how you doing over at Kayak Fishing Tales? And Brian, you're in kayak fishing in New Jersey. Serge, always watching up in Ottawa. Sean, talking about my hat, my see-through hat. Look, you can see Craig through my hat because there's nothing there. It's hollow. Yeah. Well, did you guys see when I held up those shorts that NRS gave me the other day? They look like see-through shorts because they were green and just like my green screen. I thought that was pretty funny. Kevin Lowe on Kayak Fishing Tales as well. Frank Sarah, how you doing? Have your Kraken 15. Awesome. And of course, kind of the predecessor to the Kraken 15 is that boat right there. And that is a Trident 15. And we had sent those back when I was working with Ocean Kayak. That was one of the boats I helped them design. And so, you know, that's my background, is longer paddling boats. So Donald watching from Long Island. Awesome. I really appreciate all you guys watching. So like I said, I got my buddy Craig here, and he happens to be in Denver, or from Denver, or lives in Denver, but right now in Wisconsin. Craig, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good. So the backstory here, Craig was a former client of mine, guided trip in San Diego, or I think I pawned you off on Matt Moyer.
First time. Yeah. Lucky Matt.
So Craig was coming into San Diego and I wasn't available, so I had my buddy Matt help him out. And then Craig came on. Well, you came every year while I was guiding Baja.
Yeah, a couple times a year sometimes. It was a great place. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, down at Punta Colorada and then Rancho Leonero.
Yep.
Lots of good stories from down there that we don't necessarily need to go to.
Some we can tell, some maybe not.
Yeah. But Craig became a member of our Marlin Club, catching a striped marlin down in Baja.
Sailfish too.
Yeah. And then, like I said, you know, as a guided client, we became friends, and opportunity came up for this shoot down in Panama, and this was with Pesca Panama, and this was my second trip with Pesca Panama, and they asked us to come down again, but also asked if we could, you know, fill a couple spots kayakers wise. And I invited Craig and his wife, Kelly, and you guys were able to jump on it.
Yep.
And just a blast.
Yeah, one of the great kayak fishing destinations, or probably one of the great fishing destinations, right, in the world. But kayak fishing is incredible, right? The organization, I don't even know if it's still around. I think we talked about that last time, but the destination and the service and the facilities and the boats and it was first class, right? If they're still around, it's
Yeah.
fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
The fishing, I'm still so great down there.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny is my buddy Ricky, who makes the Roach Coaches, was actually a booking agent for Pesca Panama. And he no longer works for them. He's working on some other stuff in Panama as well as Pago Pago. And we were talking about it the other day. He says he thinks they're kind of still in business, but sort of. All I know is when I went to Pesca Panama's website, there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah.
So, but the cool thing for you guys who are going to be watching this, it was a floating lodge, and you would fly into Panama City, usually spend the night in Panama City because it's such a mission getting down there. And then the next morning, take a small hop over to the city of David. And then from there, jump on a boat, one of their fishing boats, and they would run with all your luggage and everything. And they would run you out to the lodge or barge or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And that barge would you would fish all day. And while you were fishing, it was moving to another destination. Mm-hmm. And then you would sleep on it, you would eat on it and all that. And then you'd repeat that process for a week and kind of do this loop around the different islands and Hannibal Bank. Yep. So, but I mean, the variety, what I've told people about it, and I don't know how well you remember, this was a long time ago. I think this was 2015, maybe.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't even remember.
Yeah, maybe a little bit than 14.
Yeah, but the cool thing is your ability to do such a variety of fishing, even in the same day. Mm-hmm. From that cool inshore stuff for Roosters and Kubera and that sort of thing to just a short distance being offshore and getting the Dorado and the tuna and then billfish.
100%. I remember when we did snook way ashore and in a little cove up there, and then went out and did offshore stuff, Hannibal Bank stuff that afternoon. So it's pretty cool trip. Cool trip. And
like I said, I mean, and it was a nice enough setup where you're comfortable where, I mean, Kelly's adventurous, but it certainly wasn't any kind of roughing it really. Cause I mean,
no. And they did your laundry every day.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. That was a cool thing.
Yeah. Pack light. There's not a lot of room, and don't pack for the whole trip, pack for 2 days. And then we'll do your laundry every single day. So you leave your dirty laundry in the room and you come back and it'll be dry and folded sitting on the rack for you.
That's right. Because that was the thing. They're like, because you have to jump on that small plane. They're just like, you don't need to bring a ton. We will do your laundry every day. Mm-hmm. So you basically had like 2 sets of fishing clothes. Yep. And just kept rotating, and then you maybe had a nicer set that you would wear in the evenings or whatever, or for when you were, traveling. So I forgot all about that.
Yeah, formal night. You had a formal outfit for white night or whatever it was.
Right. Your nicer Hawaiian print. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's just so many great memories there, but. I mean, I think we talked about it last time you were on here because when we aired part 1 of this, the sharks, that would hang out at the back of the boat for where they were cleaning the fish or cleaning the dishes, and those big nurse sharks and bull sharks just hanging out behind the boat.
Yeah, and the little searchlight on the front of the boat that you could control a little bit. You could, and when you go up at night on the backside of those islands, you could put the croc eyeballs off in the distance.
Right.
There's a lot of life down there. There's a lot of marine life. There's a lot of variety down there. The birds and monkeys, and the crocs and the sharks and everything you caught. It's a cool place.
Yeah.
Really cool place.
Yeah. And like I said, I think what I liked so much about this, I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with, your paddle Panamas and Los Buzos, which is such a cool place. But there you're pretty much fishing kind of one area, where that was, to me, was always the appeal of Pesca Panama, is you were just exploring different places every day.
Yeah. If you go back and look at that on a map, you cover a lot of ground in a week or in 5 days or 6 days with those guys. Was it Matosa and Coiba Island and all that in Hannibal Banks? There's just all fantastic places, but you hit 4 or 5 of them in a consecutive day streak.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I just thought of something also, and I don't remember if it was from this trip or my trip before. I think it was this trip. Was this the one where I almost paused down, where I got bit on the leg by the Cubera? Do you remember that?
Yep. Was it the leg?
Well, high on the leg. High on the inner thigh. So basically what happened is I landed a nice Cubera, and I know we didn't get it on video.
No.
There is a photo of me like, I caught a Cubera, and I brought it up on the deck. I kind of had it laying across the kayak, and my pliers were on the other side of it. And so I went to reach forward to get my pliers so I could get the hook out of it, and it spun around and slid towards my crotch. And luckily, I hang one way versus the other way, because it chomped down on my inner thigh and ripped my shorts and gave me 4 really nice puncture wounds on my inner thigh.
That was a big fish too. That fish was not a joke. That was a big Cubera.
Yeah, right? it was a nice Cubera. So
yeah.
God, like I said, the memories from these trips are so long ago. So with no further ado, I think we just run the episode for a little bit and see what any more stories we can come up from it.
Okay.
This week on the Kayak Fishing Show, I'm joined by Craig and Kelly Miller on the west coast of Panama. We've already had an epic week hauling tuna off the Hannibal Bank, wrangling roosters along the shoreline, and living it up with Pesca Panama sport fishing. Now that we have a way to safely land these massive tuna, Craig and I are going to head to a secret spot and try to hook a monster.
A secret spot.
Are in no mood for giving up. Those tuna don't stand a chance. Stick around. This one's going to be epic.
Epic.
At the forefront of any sport, you inevitably find someone pushing the limits. While kayak fishing has been exploding in popularity,
yes,
Jim
that
Sammons
secret spot is Hannibal Bank.
Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, look at these.
But not too many kayak anglers have had the
From
opportunity to
Ocean
fish
Kayak,
there.
Jim challenges the world's top game fish and puts his kayak fishing skills to the ultimate test.
Never fought a kayak, have you, fish?
From freshwater to saltwater, Jim's mission is simple: to discover the best fishing destinations in the world and prove that anything is possible from a kayak.
That's a healthy fish. Oh, nice!
And the little one got away.
Ocean Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Ocean Kayak, makers of the Trident and Ultra series of fishing kayaks. Ex Officio, made to adventure. Seagar, always the best fishing line. Mustad, haul in a record, haul off the cash. Hook One Kayak Fishing Gear. Get everything you need to get out there and hook one. Standard Horizon. Nothing takes to the water like Standard Horizon. And the Heliconia Press, cutting-edge outdoors media. The Pacific coast of Panama is one of the most productive and unpressured sport fishing grounds in the world, and not surprisingly, one of Jim Sammons' favorite fishing destinations.
I think as far as a place to fish, paddle, look at scenery, there's no place better. I've never been to a more beautiful place in my life. Coiba Island is off the charts beautiful. So here we are in Panama. Excited to be back. Brought along a couple of good friends of mine, Craig and Kelly Miller, and they both done a lot of kayak fishing. Craig's a member of our billfish club. He's got a sail and a striped marlin, so he wanted to come down here after hearing everything I told him about Panama. He wanted to come down here and see what it was like. So
Ready to go?
look at that big rooster, man. That is a quality rooster fish.
After 2 incredible fish-filled days around Coiba Island, it's time to step things up. And Jim has his sights set on Hannibal Banks, where a monstrous cliff soars from thousands of feet below the ocean's surface to plateau at 120 feet. Home to marlin exceeding 1,000 pounds and clouds of 300-pound tuna, kayak fishing in these waters is not for the faint of heart. 2 years ago, Jim first visited Panama and the Hannibal Banks, and it wasn't long before he hooked into one of the fights of his life. Beaten down from a 3-hour battle with a 140-pound tuna, Jim needed help from the support boat to land the
Oh
brute.
my God, dude, that is the hardest I've ever pulled on a fish for that long.
That fish kicked my ass.
Tail still on the ground. Oh man.
Since then, Jim has been devising a plan to finish the job, and this time from his kayak.
And I got the big tuna, but one of my biggest regrets was that I wasn't able to actually land it by myself. You know, that's as a kayak angler, that's part of it, is hook, fight, land, solo. So I talked to my friends at Neptonics, and they're freedivers, freediving specialty shop. And he made up this float and shock cord for me for this harpoon that my good friend Howard gave me that he used for halibut. Well,
And he had a chance to test out his new tuna landing system over the past few days, but now it's time to put it to the ultimate test. Stay tuned as the team heads out to the banks to get their fish on.
we were doing this for over 3 hours on my big tuna last time I was here. I don't know if I want to do that right now.
Ocean Kayak's Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Ocean Kayak, makers of the Trident and Ultra series of fishing kayaks, and the Torque, which features a removable Minn Kota motor. Check them out at oceankayak.com.
That was kind of a revolution there with the motor built onto the kayak, and now there's so many of them, and there's so many guys using motors on kayaks. It's absolutely crazy. The big tuna, what we were talking about there, and you're on a nice tuna in that photo there. You can see its tail. What I learned from the first trip versus the second trip, and I see this a lot, guys using really big, heavy gear in the kayaks, that I think that big, heavy gear just beats you up. And because the boat itself is drag, you don't need the big reel, so you don't need to be holding that big reel. And what happened with me, I think on that first one, was the rod I was using was such a broomstick that everything that fish did just beat me up. And though I had it up to the boat quickly, when I tried to gaff it, it ran off, and it took me 2 hours to get it back. When I figured out, hey, use smaller gear and a more parabolic rod, I found out that I was landing these fish in 35, 40 minutes instead of 3 hours. Bring the fight closer to your body. You know what I mean? Instead of having that really stiff rod where the leverage point is so far away from you, it's so much harder on you. Where you get that more parabolic rod, or a little shorter rod, get that fight closer to your body, you can short stroke them then and land them a lot quicker. So I didn't get nearly as beat up. And of course, the other thing was, like I said, when I tried to gaff that fish the first time, if you guys have seen that video, it just blew up and dove straight down. So the idea there was then, this harpoon system that the harpoon came from Howard McKim because he used it for halibut up in Alaska. And then like I said in the video there, I used this float from a freediver with a shock cord on it. And I think what realistically happened once I did it on this was I stuck it with that harpoon. And maybe this is why the guys in Hawaii use the kagi, which is just the same sort of idea, except they keep it doesn't detach. I basically stoned that fish, so it's like I didn't need to then gaff it and pull it up and have it shake. Once I stuck it, it just kind of went, okay. But, you learn so much going on from different fish and everything. It was pretty, I remember that specifically, one of the bigger learning things I had on that trip.
And they pull hard. I mean, those mid-sized tunas are just monsters, right? They pull so hard. I was like, freshwater guy from Colorado, caught some trout. You go down there, and
right?
You can't even describe it until you do it. It's just
right, and that's why we call a tuna is just a muscle with eyes.
Yeah,
and they don't quit, and that's why it's always so funny. You see somebody pick up a tuna, and it's like,
yeah.
I mean, that tail, that motor they have on the end of them, man, they are so fast and so strong.
Yeah, we caught so many that day. I don't know if it was the day you harpooned that one, but one of those days we caught so many that when we did so many, we released most of them, right? Or we released all of them. But I had bruises on my legs from the tail slapping. Like my legs were torn up, and my from just pulling them up and taking the hook out or taking a pin and letting them back out. They just don't quit until they're done, right? They just fight all the way through. And they're so strong, so cool too.
Yeah, and delicious.
And tasty, yeah, for sure.
All right, well, let's keep her going. See what happens next. Did Kelly land one? I don't remember.
Yeah, you helped her land a pretty decent, like 80 pound, maybe 70 pounder, 80 pounder. Yeah.
Come on. There we go.
Ocean Kayaks Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Seagar, always the best in fluorocarbon. Now introducing 2 new world-class products, Kanzen Braid and Senshi monofilament lines. Check out all Seagar's fishing line options at seagar.com. Jim's aboard the Pesca Panama Floating Lodge for a week of epic sport fishing on Hannibal Bank.
Well, we ran the boat out to Hannibal Bank.
Pause. I just want to pause for a second. Actually, maybe I can back it up a hair. There we go. You see that yellow kayak up on the top? On the first time I went there, they still had that. And Will, my videographer, and Ken, my producer, that's a tandem. And they had to paddle around on that thing while they were shooting me, because we got in some inshore stuff pretty close in, so they couldn't have the center consoles in there. And they were in on that thing in just some crazy, backwashy stuff. And there's no scuppers in it. And they're just like sitting in huge puddles of water. And we called that one the banana boat because it was just like this full huge rocker on it. It was the weirdest boat. Just thought I'd share that with you.
Probably hasn't moved from the roof of there since they put it up back then either.
Yeah, probably.
From a floating lodge for a week of epic sport fishing on Hannibal Bank.
Well, we ran the boat out to Hannibal Bank. It's 15 miles from Koiba Island. So obviously, if you want to fish this area, there's no way to paddle out here. Pretty big seas today. It's a little bit rough. We're not really seeing a whole lot of signs of life. But it's the advantage of having a boat and being able to do some big game kayak fishing is using the boat to get there.
One of the best parts about reliving past adventures is the chance to hook up with old friends. One of the friends that made Jim's last trip to Panama is local guide Tomasino. Tommy was born and raised in these waters and has learned how to adapt his style of offshore fishing to the particular needs of the kayak angler.
So we were really stoked when Jay, the owner of Pesca Panama, told us that we were going to have Tommy as our boat captain again today. He was our captain on the last trip, so he kind of knew how we did things, and we were excited because he put us on a lot of fish last time, so we knew he was going to do it for us again today. So having Tommy behind the wheel of the boat was a pleasure, and of course we've got Jose, who is our deckhand, who's been baiting us up, helping us on and off the boat, helping us with the kayaks. You know, you can't do these kind of trips without the help of these guys, and they just bust their butts, and couldn't be happier to have two great guys on the boats with us helping us out.
Today, Tommy is taking the crew to his favorite spot to fish. 15 miles from Coiba Island, far from the sight of land, a mountain rises from thousands of feet below ocean level to plateau at only 120 feet below the surface. This is Hannibal Banks, arguably the best place in the world to catch huge tuna and monster marlin. This is where the team dropped their kayaks in the water.
Well, I was all full of bourbon with a poker face, a paradise in my pockets, I was holding straight. Been putting on night, now it's my turn to raise,
right
and
next to
I'm
the boat.
going all in and catch Jim.
Oh, that's a nice Dorado.
Because I was black and close like quarter slots, face
Bird
like
sitting
a
on it, and I
stone
said, you know what? There's a bird sitting on it, that's always a good sign. There might be some bait underneath it. Toss the lure, saw a Dorado, and Craig went
Don't
after
you
it.
dare tell me that I ain't got no money, cause he's likely to kill me. If he can't find me 3 jacks and 2 bitches, gonna be the death of me. And then he comes snooping in
for the tuna.
Getting ready to hopefully get on a tuna here.
Yeah, man. The anticipation, you know, you know you have all those porpoise around you. You know there's fish jumping around you. It's like, it's going to happen, but when?
I'll cut you down like a tree. I'm Jimmy, hey son, you don't want to mess with me. Whiskey won't work, sleep is out of the question. Wish Jimmy the ace that you got in the deal with. If I should die before I wake, I'll kiss the devil's ass for saving me from Jimmy the ace. Don't you dare Jimmy that I ain't got no money. He's likely to kill me if he can't find me 3 jacks and 2 bitches. Gonna be the death of me.
Pretty nice setup. I really like how it's working for me. Yeah. And on the end of the line, I got a Mustad Demon Perfect Circle 1X strong, and I think I'm using an 8-aught today. You know, where you're fishing with big caballito. Caballito for bait. I think Kelly would have landed us by now.
Yeah, that's when they get you.
Yep, there it is.
Tail beat.
Kicking the shin a couple times.
Okay. I'm beat.
With the front door locked and blinds covering the windows and all the lights shut off.
Make it do that
again.
Okay.
Been a week now and I can't.
That's a good fish. That is a fantastic fish.
Everything will be fine if I get away.
That's a sign of a really good organization. Sign of a good operation. When you have people that know how to treat the customers and they're always working for you.
Probably not
Put some salt water on that reel.
Yeah, why not?
I think it was by chunks of.
This is our second time.
Well,
He understands kayak fishing. He knows how to do it. Really makes it nice. And they got the nice kayaks at Pesca Panama too, right on top of the barge. Anybody who even is just coming down, not necessarily to go kayak fishing, but who just wants to come on one of their trips can say, okay, I think I'll spend a day kayak fishing. This week, we've been targeting big tuna down in Panama, so I'm going to give you a rundown of a good setup to use if you're going for tuna. First off, I've got an Akuma Makira speed
can't
reel.
even say it
That's
right.
going to give me plenty of pulling power, a lot of strength, and that 2-speed if I really have to crank on the fish.
You don't need
I
a
attached
two-speed.
that to a Cedros jigging rod, and the reason I like the jigging rod.
This was
is
like
it's
the
got power, but a soft tip
one
that just
season
really picks
that
up and
Akuma
keeps that
sponsored
soft
us.
tip. For line, these
It was
fish
the
are tough
weirdest
and they're
thing.
big. I've got Kansan, Seagar, 100.
Quite happy with my
On top of
Siegler.
that, again, 100-pound fluorocarbon. I need that abrasion resistance. I need that strength for a long fight.
It's funny to go back and look at these, because it was so long ago, different sponsors, different type of gear.
Demon Perfect circle hook. The reason for this, again, get that hook in the corner of its mouth. The reason I say 7/0 to 10/0, just match it to the bait size. So that's the gear we're going to use if we're going for tuna. Check it out. Stick around for more exciting kayak fishing with Pesca Panama after this message.
It doesn't beat you to death.
Yeah, don't quit.
Yeah, I don't, for the most part, I don't subscribe to the need of having a two-speed.
Ocean Kayaks.
I guess for a
Kayak
really,
Fishing Show
really
is
big
brought to you
fish
in
that it
part
sounded
by
on you, it helps.
Mustad, featuring the Hook a Million state and world record contest with $1.4 million up for grabs. Haul in a record, haul off the cash. Free registration at mustadhookamillion.com.
I think somebody won $1 million on that
The boys
contest
are
too.
refreshed and ready to haul another beast from the depths. Finally, after trolling around for a while, Jim gets his chance at another monster.
Got another day out here at Hannibal Bank. It's pretty sloppy out here. We started trolling live baits. It didn't take long.
I don't think anything hurts your back worse than a tuna.
That's straight down. Straight down, straight up.
I was following this one pod for the longest time, and it's like, man, the anticipation, there's fish around, you're seeing a freaking just anticipating that bite. And it's so exciting. I mean, what a picturesque place. I mean, that porpoise jumping all around you. Woo, got, what do we got? 2, 4, 5, 6 tuna.
Cutaway tool. Great safety device.
Not a huge one, but that float did make it interesting.
Solo, big tuna. I'm not 100% sure how big it is, but I'm guessing that's a 100-pound fish.
Probably not.
100 pounds?
Yeah, on the phone.
Another epic day in Panama comes to a close. It's time to head back to the Pesca Panama barge for a fish feast.
Dorado ceviche from the Dorado Craig caught yesterday.
Pesca Panama is truly the best way for any angler to experience the thrills of fishing in Panama. After running luxury fishing trips in Alaska for years, Captain Jay Gustin decided it was time to change things up and focus on a warmer destination. Panama's stunning countryside, incredibly friendly people, and its world-class fishing make it the ideal spot for a sport fishing operation. When combined with Jay's passion for providing the ultimate fishing experience, the result is Pesca Panama Sport Fishing, one of the most unique and luxurious sport fishing operations that you'll find anywhere.
We don't really try to max it out as much as we try to keep it comfortable. So most of our trips we'll have around 10, 12 guests, 14. This, like right where we're sitting here today, is one of our favorite anchoring places, and we've been to several others already this week. So it gives us a versatility to bring people out so they can enjoy the islands and still be able to move around these different anchorages. It's a little bit different concept, but it works very good.
At the center of the Pesca Panama operation is an old barge, which they've converted into a luxury mobile fishing lodge. Now, while guests are out fishing all day, this mothership moves from location to location, which provides anglers with easy access to endless fishing spots and minimizes travel time. And there aren't that many lodges that can offer dinner with the nurse sharks. When we come back, the team has one last day on the banks, and what better way to spend it than targeting billfish? Stay tuned for some extreme kayak bill fishing action.
So, Jay, they're the owner at that time sold Pesca Panama. And he was the heart and soul of the place, you know, he was all about customer service, just the nicest guy. And
Plus, in person, just a dead nuts ringer for the skipper from Gilligan's Island.
yeah, you're right.
Every time I saw him at the block around the boat, I was like,
That's right. Yep. And just so nice. But like I said, he sold the place so he could retire and move back, because he used to run fishing boats up in Alaska. And I think he moved back up that way. And the guys who bought it, it just never seemed like it was back at that level from what I had seen and what I had heard. And then, like I said, and now it's like I said, I'm not even sure if it still exists, at least going by their website. The website, again, Pesca Panama, is still there, but there's no updated information.
No. And I had a few emails from that guy when he first took it over, like trying to get some previous customers in. We still have the kayaks down here, but I haven't heard from him in a year or so. So who knows?
Yeah. And like I said, my friend is Ricky, who was the booking agent, who was no longer working for him. So, but there is a lot of great organizations down in Panama. And if you get a chance to fish Panama, I mean, I highly recommend it. It's just such a awesome place. You know, like I said, the variety of fishing you can do there. And, you know, it's like Panama City, I'm not so much into, you know, but when you get out there, out away from everything, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yep.
And like we said, in that Coiba Island, absolutely beautiful, which I believe it was Coiba was formerly like a prison island.
Yeah. Until the 70s, right? Until relatively recently.
Yeah. It's kind of like the old movie Papillon.
Yeah. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That whole area.
And now the thing is, I don't even know, you have to have like a special permit to even be able to go fish out there.
Yep.
So, but very, very cool.
And it was evident. We didn't see anybody else out there, right? We had some military people, but there was nobody else fishing, and there wasn't a lot of pressure on the fish. They were plentiful.
Yeah.
Ocean Kayak
definitely.
Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Okuma Fishing Tackle. It's your day. Make the most of it with Okuma Fishing Tackle. Inspiring design.
I still fish Okuma, their low profile reels.
Check out Okuma's full line of rods, reels, and fishing accessories at okumafishing.com.
But that's it. Everything else, like I said, is my Siegler reels.
Joined by Craig and Kelly Miller in the fishy waters off Hannibal Banks in Panama.
We caught a lot of big tuna on this trip. I think we caught 3 or 4 really large ones in that 80-pound range. And they pull hard. Awesome. Troll live bait, hook them up, and reel them in and gaff them.
Yellowfin tuna are one of the toughest fish you can catch off your kayak.
Just reel them in and gaff them.
That's all you got to do.
Targeting tuna in your kayak.
I should have a show.
The first thing you have to do is locate the tuna. And you can do that in a number of ways. One is to look for porpoise schools, because tuna tend to hang with them. But that's kind of tough in a kayak because you're having to chase the porpoise. Look for birds working. That means the fish are up there. Or go to a high spot that's going to hold bait and bring in those bigger fish. That's a lot easier way to do it in a kayak. If you're seeing the fish up on top, throw a popper. That's going to get them going. If you're not seeing them, drop an iron, yo-yo fishing. Drop that iron down to the bottom or halfway down and grind it up as fast as you can. The fish can't resist it. Just like any kind of kayak fishing, you don't need big gear. But these fish are strong, so make sure you're using good quality reels with smooth drags. These fish can get big, so be prepared. Know how you're going to land it. Either have a gaff or the harpoon that I've been using on the real big fish, or just let them go if they're too big for your kayak. I hope these tips help you get that tuna of a lifetime. Until next time, I'm Jim Sammons, and it's your kayak fishing tip of the week.
For more tips and your chance to win a fantastic kayak fishing package that includes an Ocean Kayak Trident fishing kayak and ex officio clothing, visit kayakfishingshow.com. After a hardcore week of hauling on big fish, the arms are aching. But with only one more day left in Panama, nothing's going to stop the team from heading back to Hannibal Banks for more big fish action.
Just getting back in, give myself a little time limit here, half hour, maybe an hour. Try to catch another one. See what happens.
I was taking a break, and Craig decided to keep paddling around Hannibal Bank, and we saw a billfish jump on his bait. And it was pretty cool because we were all looking right back at him when it happened. We saw it right behind him. And it's not a real big billfish that we can tell anyway.
Yeah.
But,
you never know.
On the kayak, man.
It grew.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm on some kind of a billfish here, but he's really not fighting that hard at this point. He went on a couple of good runs, but he's really, he's out at an angle, almost like a 45-degree angle up the left side of my boat. And I could bring him in right now. I could wind in as much line as I wanted. Actually, I'm letting line go slack. I'm not even being able to keep much of a bend in my rod. But the last thing I want to do is bring this fish in right now because he's only been out for maybe 10 minutes. Can we land that? Can we land that guy?
After fighting the marlin for more than an hour, what was first thought to be a small fish has revealed itself to be a 400-pound plus black marlin.
My pro tip of the week is spend time on the water. When you come to Panama, stay on the water. You'll catch more fish on the kayak than you will from the boat.
Is it Tommy, do you think?
What kind
of fish is it and how big is it?
It's Black Marlin, I think it's maybe 350, 400 pounds, something like that.
There he is. Craig keeps the beast at a distance, but the sheer size of the fish has caused a conundrum. The marlin appears to have no idea he even has a hook in his mouth.
I mean, there's times when he pulls and he takes a bunch of line, but for the most part, I mean, he's not pulling very hard. He's been in relatively close the whole time.
Craig refuses to give up, but this isn't a stalemate. The black marlin is winning. Even an extra kayak dragging behind Craig isn't enough to make the beast move.
Might change the tactic, Jim?
Yeah, this fish is acting bizarre. Can't seem to get any pressure on it, but it's also still too freaking green to try and bring in.
Something has to change. They simply need to put more pressure on the fish, and so Jim starts paddling.
Yeah, that didn't work at all.
To no avail. Jim is quickly exhausting, and the marlin makes no attempt to flee. With daylight waning, Craig makes one last attempt to pressure the fish before he cuts the line.
Straightened out a 10-aught circle hook, and he got away, but I think we got some good jumps out of him and went for a ride for a while.
Whenever you go fishing, there's a good chance that you're using Mustad hooks. For over 125 years, Mustad has been the leader in hook manufacturing. The new Demon Perfect Circle hooks are the only circle hooks with precision proportions. I've been using the new Demon Perfect Circle hooks for the last couple years, and it'll blow you away the percentage of fish you hook and don't lose. The Demon Perfect Circle hooks come in different wire gauges from extra fine to 5X strong, which is just a beast of a hook. You're also going to find them in sizes from the tiny number 12 to a monster 16-aught. You can see all of Mustad's great products at mustadfishing.com.
Hooks straightened, the limit has been
There it is.
400 pounds of raw muscle have defeated the kayakers. But Jim has been here before, and so it's back to the drawing board to figure out how to land bigger fish from the kayak. With that, our Panamanian adventure reaches its end, with new challenges faced and new resolutions made. But Jim's adventures are far from over. Join us next week on the Kayak Fishing Show as Jim heads to Northern Ontario, Canada, on the hunt for trophy walleye, bass, and big old muskie at Slippery Winds Lodge.
And then the Black Marlin was probably the highlight of my trip. It was a big 350, 400-pound Black Marlin from the kayak that I don't think there's any way to land it, but we played around with it for a couple hours, two and a half hours.
It is my second time here, and the second time that the kayak anglers outfish the boat anglers.
Every day.
For more tips or information on how you can join me on a kayak fishing adventure, visit jimsammons.com.
jimsammons.com.
Nice.
So, yeah, that basically the sequence on the marlin, you hooked it, and then, like I said, you could see where I T-boned the back of the kayak, so I'll hold on to the back, try to put more pressure, and I can kind of lean my kayak this way. so it kind of digs in and put more pressure. But that fish was so bizarre in that it just swam. It never, I mean, yeah, we got a few jumps and a few hard runs, but for the most of the fight, it just swam really just like we weren't there.
Early on, he took just a ton of line, and then he stopped. And I was pulling and winding on him and just trying to jump and just trying to get him to do something. And he would go, get him back in, go, get him back in. But he was not, there were times where it was just like it was like I had the drag off. It was nothing. He was just dead. And I think I said last time, I guess if I had to do it over again, I would just wound on top of him and touch the leader and cut him loose, right? To get him. But who knows? But, it's also, he's pretty big.
It's a big, hot green animal, getting him to, if you try to do anything like that and it goes nuts underneath your boat. And like I said, I T-boned it. Like I said, you kept saying, Jim, I don't know what to do, man. I can wind myself right on top of this fish anytime I want.
Yeah.
And then I did the rope thing, which was just ridiculous. That didn't work at all.
No.
And it really was a time thing because it was our last day on the water. We had to get back to the boat and we had a fairly long run or back to the lodge, I should say. And so that's when we were like, screw it. We got to put some more pressure on this fish and attached you to the camera boat.
Yep.
And that's when it all of a sudden felt all that weight.
And then
it just boom, 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 and straightened up.
It was gone. And like when I first got in, there was a little couple seconds there. I remember the captains gave us like, we got to head back. It's like a half hour, maybe an hour. I said, okay, well, I'm last day here. Let's max out our time, right? Let's get back in the water and see if we get something. And then that happened right at the end of the last day. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good memory.
Yeah, for sure. It's great to relive these old shows, like I say, because I don't sit around and watch my show. Yeah, let's go do it again. I'm dying to, man. As soon as my travel, like I said, I'm scheduled to go to Louisiana in a few weeks.
Nice.
And hopefully that hasn't been hit by all the cold quite as much. And then I'm going to go fishing in Florida also. But I mean, I just don't. This year is not going to be the adventure travel that I tend to have, so which is kind of disappointing. But what is this? Oh, Gary Myers. That's why I used Ponga rods out of my Scupper Pro, and you laughed at me using your 7-foot rods. And it's not even a matter of, Ponga rods are one thing, and a 7-foot rod when you're in La Jolla and you're talking about yellowtail, it's a kind of a different beast when you start talking to 100+ pound, or tuna, because tuna are just that much stronger. 7 foot, being able to reach around the bow of your rod. The interesting thing, people, like I said, I always went 7 foot. And like I said, if you go shorter, a 6 foot, a little more parabolic, bring the fight closer to you, certainly takes the stress off you. But the weird thing is, what we always say is if you have a fish that kind of goes, off to the left or off to the right, if you just pull the rod across the boat will pivot and point towards the fish. Yep. If you have a shorter rod with a more parabolic where it's closer to you, you do this and the boat just drags sideways. So it's much more difficult, particularly if you're on a rudderless boat, it's much more difficult to actually get the boat to turn towards the fish. So it's kind of weird. I've fished some of the shorter rods, some of my vertical jigging rods, and hooked some big fish that will do that. And then all of a sudden it's like, why isn't my boat turning? Because we're so used to it just doing that, just following the fish. And you go too short, then all of a sudden it's not doing that. And you have to fight it a little bit differently. My experience, anyway. Rudy asked when I'm coming to Chesapeake to go fishing. Actually, there was talk of going there this year and it fell through. So you can blame somebody else on that. I don't, and what's this one? Jim, you should come to, is that Wisconsin? To fish Great Lakes. salmon tournament in the fall. That'd be fun.
I'm 6 blocks from Lake Michigan right now, man. I'm sitting here. I'm up here in Milwaukee right now. So it's the lake's right around the corner.
We'll head on out and go fishing.
Yeah, it's a little chilly right now.
Was. So anybody who watched the show with Patrick Zabeel on Tuesday, that is still going on. So you have until next week to comment on that one for your chance to win 5 lures from a band of anglers. So if you go and comment on that, you will be eligible to win, and I will draw that winner right before the show on Tuesday. Other than that, I appreciate everybody joining us. Craig, I'm glad you were able to. I know you're on the road and everything. Glad you were able to.
It's always fun, man. I always look to it. So always good to see you.
Yeah, man. Super fun. We actually got to fish again sometimes. I know you're traveling all over the place for work and chasing your kid around for that stick game they play.
Yeah, both of them.
Right.
Yeah, one plays her first college game tomorrow. So
really?
Yeah. Tomorrow afternoon she plays her college game. So
awesome.
Yeah, pretty stoked.
Is it snowing there?
Yep. But they have so they plow the field, turf, and if it's too cold, they play in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They have an indoor stadium too. So,
well, very cool, man. Well, again, thanks. Appreciate you joining me here.
Yeah, great.
And, let's go fish.
Right on, man. Good to see you. Talk to you soon.
Take care. Well, again, thanks everybody for joining us. I really appreciate it. We are here every Tuesday and Thursday on the Kayak Fishing Show page on Facebook, as well as Kayak Fishing Tales, our YouTube channel. If you are going out fishing this week, please remember, always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. Y'all take care.